Hello and welcome to lecture 2 of unit 2 in strategic management course in the MBA program. I am Pankaj Chauhan. I am associated with Ajay Kumar Garg Institute of Management, Ghaziabad. In this session, I will be covering Porter's 5 forces model. Porter 5 forces model is used for the industry analysis and it is a part of environmental scanning. So we can see Porter's 5 forces model as a methodological tool to analyze industry. So far learning outcomes are concerned, after this session you will be able to understand how to analyze competitiveness of the industry. So basically the 5 forces that this model explains are related to competitiveness of the industry. You will be able to describe each of the 5 forces of this model independently, how a particular force affect the competitiveness of the industry. You will be able to explain the specific aspect of each force along with its strategic impact. We will see through various examples that how the different forces explained in this model are strategically important for the companies of a particular industry. You will be able to evaluate the role of industry analysis in strategic decision. So strategic decisions require many type of information. Sometimes there are information which are already available within the organization, and many a time some information are related to industry, and specifically the information related to the competitiveness. So that competitiveness of the industry can be linked to the information related to these 5 forces that 5 forces model explain. So you will be able to understand the role of industry analysis, and finally you will be able to know those 5 important questions that one must answer if somebody wants to use Michael Porter's 5 forces model. So before we proceed to this model, let us define these 3 very important terms: the industry, sector and market segment. Industry is a group of companies offering products or services that are close substitute for each other and that satisfy the same basic consumer need, whereas sector is a group of closely related industries. So let us try to figure out industry is basically is a group of these certain companies, and what is common in these companies are targeting the similar kind of consumer need. They are targeting same business customer need, and therefore they are competitive to each other. So this is industry. It is a group of companies which are dealing in the close substitute products and targeting the same customer need. Now what is sector? Sector is a group of closely related industries, which means that if I consider this circle as industry 1 and there is another industry, that is I2, wherein there are other number of companies like these, and if these two industries are closely related, which means that the product of the one industry somewhere being utilized by the other industry. This is how they could be closely related. So if I club these two industries together, what I will have is the sector. Now what is market segment? Market segment is a heterogeneous group of customers within the industry. So basically what this particular industry is dealing with has got its own unique kind of customers that may differ from the customers of this company. So basically segment refers to the heterogeneous group of customers. This group of customers is going to be different from this group of customers. So, I would say this group of customer could be segment 1 and this group of customer could be segment 2. Why? Because these two are different customer groups, and on what grounds we can say these are different? These may be different in terms of their specifications they are looking for in a particular product which the companies of this industry are manufacturing. So, these are the terms which one must know before moving to the Michael Porter's 5 forces model. Now, every industry differ from each other in these 4-5 terms. For example, the customer need, want and demand for a particular industry will be different from the others one. Similarly, the growth potential which is existing in industry 1 may not be equal in industry 2. So, growth potential can be different. Similarly, the nature of challenges the companies in industry 1 are facing may not be equally same or equally strengthful as the challenges that companies of industry 2 may face. In the previous session, the session 1 of unit 2, I discussed the example of ITC. This belonged to an industry called tobacco. So, this company, because it is a part of such a industry which by default is such an industry whose products are not being promoted or supported by the government, and there are a lot of other non-government organizations that are opposing the awareness campaign of the cigarette and the tobacco products. So, some peculiar kind of unique kind of challenges the companies working in tobacco industry are facing, and these set of challenges may not be similar to the challenges of, for example, FMCG industry. So, different industries have different challenges. And lastly, the sales figure. Obviously, the demand in a particular industry may not be equally similar, and therefore, we say that demand or the sales figures or the size of the industry differ from each other. Now, this means that the factor that we have considered in the previous slide that help us to understand that one industry is different from other industry. This takes me to this graph. The data which which is used in this graph has been taken from this site Forbes.com, and this data is of year 2015. So, it is not very old data, and it is about net margin. So, net margin, what different industries are earning. So, you can see that health technology, they are earning 20.9, it means approximately 21% of net margin. Then comes finance, technology services, and to the lesser side we can see non-energy minerals, distribution services, retail trade just 3.5%, health services, industrial services, consumer durables. The companies in this industry in 2000, as per the data of 2015, are able to generate net margin of nearly 6%. And look at the companies into the manufacturing, producers in manufacturing, approximately 8.5%. So, this forced me to think about this question, that why some industries are more profitable than others. Why is it so that the companies towards the bottom of this graph are earning more net margin as compared to the companies listed above? What is important, what is unique therein? So, obviously, we can say that by nature these are different from each other based on what we have discussed in the previous slide, like the challenges they are facing, like the growth potential they are having, and the need they are targeting, etc., etc. But systematically, is there a way to analyze why some industries are more profitable, hence are more attractive, right? Is there any way to understand this? So, Michael Porter's model is one of such methodological tool. So, this is the Porter's 5 forces model. This include the 5 forces. It was developed by Michael Porter, and he explained the details of this model with respect to certain industries. In his original research work, he analyzed airline industries and software and soft drink industry. This model can be used to analyze the overall attractiveness of different industries in same or different point of times, or the same industry in different or same point of time. So, important aspect that we can make out over here is over a period of time there are a lot of things that get changed in the industry. So, if I take two time framework T1 and T2, and I am considering a particular industry I1, and on this I am taking the overall attractiveness, or I would say the competitiveness, right. So, at T1 point of time, this industry was this much, if this is the 0, this much attractive or competitive. What happen in next 10 or 15 years time to this, if I want to understand this one, is it on the same level? Has the competitiveness increased or the attractiveness increased, or it has gone down? So, what are the levels of the attractiveness or the competitiveness of this industry that can be evaluated using this model? Similarly, if I want to compare two, so I can pick two over here. I can take the another industry I1, I2, which are more or less which I want to study, and they may be having different competitive scores or attractive score. If not, then I can plot the same over here if they are on the same competitive score, and then again I can evaluate. So, this is a very important model, and because of its simplicity it is widely used. There are few important points regarding Porter's 5 forces model that I want you to understand as a student of strategy. Number 1, all forces that been mentioned in this model act together, and just look at the direction, which is very important. Rivalry is at the center. Rivalry is at the center of this model, and this rivalry is a function of all these 5 forces, right, and 5th force is itself rivalry. The direction of arrows are towards this rivalry. So, rivalry is not only depending on the bargaining power of buyer or availability of substitute or the threat of new entrant. It is depending basically upon the together impact of all these forces. Secondly, there is no interlinkage. There is nothing lying over here. There is nothing lying over here. In the original model, there is nothing lying over here. So, please do not connect all these. Secondly, since industries differ from each other, so each force is not equally important in all the industries. For example, maybe the bargaining power of buyer is important in, say for example, FMCG industry, but it may not be case with the automobile industry. So, different forces vary in terms of their importance. So, that is to be understood. And finally, what is the use of it? So, basically the use of 5 forces model is to analyze industry, and industry analysis is a part of external environmental analysis. At 2 levels we conduct external environmental analysis. One at the industry level, second the macro environment which is surrounding this industry, and where is the firm? Firm lies within this industry. So, this is the company, this is the industry, and this is the external environment. Basically, external environment has got 2, I would say, levels. One is the societal environment, where various macro forces existing, and another is the industrial environment. And both of these will affect this company. And one conclusion you can make out over here is that there are only two words which are mentioned over here. One is the threat of new entrant, threat of substitute. Another word is bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, which means that attractiveness or the competitiveness of the industry is a function of the threat perception regarding the entry of the new entrant, the newcomers, the new potential competitors, and the threat perception towards the substitute. So, one important aspect that this model analyzes is basically regarding the threat perception. Second thing which this try to analyze is the bargaining power, the negotiation power, who is controlling whom, that is very important. So, if I want to shrink this little more, I would say that these two terms are very important in case of if I want to analyze industry. One is the threat perception, another is the analysis of negotiating power or the bargaining power. Now, we will pick up each force one by one. So, first force is the threat of new entrant. Now, let us first look at who is the new entrant, whom we would say is a new entrant. Let us try to understand this way. If this circle is the industry and these are the companies working here, so any newcomer, the first time startup that possibly going to join it could be new entrant. So, who are the new entrant? New entrant are the potential competitors. These are not currently competing with us, but they have all required capabilities that if they choose to do so, they can compete with us. So, any such organization would be my potential competitor that I here referring to as new entrant. So, any new startup can be considered as the new entrant. Likewise, another interesting aspect is this is about industry I1. There is another industry, that is I2, and there are certain firms, and because of XYZ reason, this particular firm decide to diversify unrelatedly and target this industry. So, herein this firm would be the new entrant in this industry. So, from where we can have the new entrant? We can have the new entrant from the other industries, we can have the new entrant as the startups or the individuals. So, this is regarding the what we consider as a new entrant. Now, second thing which we should answer here is why entry of new entrant is a threat. So, there are very obvious answer to this. Number one, any new entrant will rise the level of competition. Why? Because if earlier the market share is divided into these three parts, 1, 2 and 3, and if a new entrant is joining, so maybe his pie is very small, but this new entrant is going to slash some of the market share from this entire market, and as a result, because of the risk on the market share, the existing player consider this new entrant as a threat. Secondly, when a new entrant join an industry, what will happen? This new entrant will produce something, and whatever this entrant produce, it will increase the supply to the industry. And if the supply to the industry is increasing and demand is not increasing, so what is happening here is you are increasing the supply, but demand is not increasing. everybody will try to slash the prices so that more demand can be generated or more volume of the commodity can be sold. So that's where we say that entry of the new entrant is a threat. Now these are certain factors that determine the threat of the new entrant. Number one, economy of scale. Economy of scale is depending on the incremental efficiencies of the large system. If you are operating a very large system, you can achieve economy of scale. If you are running a large ship and you are taking say for example 100 ton to a certain place, so and then there is another company who is running another ship, and that ship is able to take only say for example 50 ton. So obviously per ton traveling charge is very less herein. So that's here the economy of scale is with the existing players. Second is brand loyalty that develop with that time. So existing players who already spent some time in the industry, they may have loyal customers. So and then the ease in getting government license if required, cost advantages, being already into the industry, there could be the access to the favorable suppliers and easy fund availability. Likewise, capital requirement can also affect the threat of new entrant. So point is, what these factors are explaining, these are explaining the height of barrier to entry, how much it is difficult to enter in such a market, in such an industry. If any industry has got high level of entry barriers, like it is difficult to achieve economy of scales, it is difficult to get brand loyal customers in less time, it is difficult to get cost advantage, capital requirement is very huge, switching cost is comparatively easy. So in all these cases the barrier to entry is very high, and new entrant would restrict looking at these height of the barriers. Next is the bargaining power of buyers. Buyers are the end users who will ultimately consume the products. So what determine the bargaining power of buyers? If buyers' cost of switching to the competing product or the substitute is relatively low, then bargaining power is high. Market exposure by the buyers. The food items sold to the for example any airline. So because airline here in this case is a buyer purchasing something from FMCG company. So this buyer is an airline that is interacting with a different class of the consumers. So this exposure is not easily available for this FMCG company. So possibly in this case, this exposure could give more bargaining power to this airline. If the number of buyers are small, obviously, then bargaining power will be less in case of the number of buyers are less. If buyers can pose a credible threat for backward integration, so if the buyer says that okay, I can start it, rather I am taking it from you, I can start my own. So in that case also the bargaining power will be high. Bargaining power of suppliers, number of suppliers, nature of the supply, substitute availability and the cost, whether the integration backward or forward is easy or not, that affect the bargaining power of supplier. Let us understand this. So basically suppliers are the organization that provide the components or the subsidiary components or the supplies, the raw material, the input to the manufacturing companies. Now I just want to highlight one thing from this here. If I try to say, if I try to understand how switching and switching cost and the substitute availability affect the bargaining power of supplier. So let us take the supplier and the buyer and the end consumer. Now supplier, here I take Intel, and buyer is any computer assembler, and end consumer is any consumer who is buying computer. So this Intel actually targeted this consumer and influence that Intel processor are competitive. So this customer then asks this computer assembler to have Intel processor in its product, and this is how this buyer is forced to purchase Intel. However, some other substitutes are also available. So many a time the mechanism has to be learned and understand from the strategic point of view. Similarly, the nature of supply, there are some standard supply. If you are supplying something which is standard, anybody is able to supply, that will not give any much bargaining power. But specific supply, like most of the Chinese companies supplies the critically required material for the digital equipment development. Approximately 45% of the supply to the European country is done by the Chinese companies. So obviously now these Chinese companies as a supplier has got more power. Now look at the threat of substitute. Substitute are the product that satisfy similar need. They reduce the return and can affect the overall profitability of industry, and therefore they are considered as threat. Their presence in the industry make the industry less attractive, because if we have such kind of product which can replace ours, obviously that industry would not be very much attractive. Now, what are the things that actually affect the threat of substitute? Number one, whether the substitute are easily available or not. Availability of substitute is there, but it is not easily available, then it would not create any threat. Whether my customer is perceiving it as a substitute or not, the perception of the substitute is very important. How much is the cost of switching to the substitute? That is again a part. If the total cost of ownership increased by switching to the substitute, obviously that will not affect the industry. But if the total cost of ownership decrease, obviously the customer will switch to the substitute, and that will affect the industry. Intensity of the rivalry. So it refers to the competitive struggle between the companies in the same industry to gain market share from each other. Because these companies, why these companies struggle? Because these deal in similar kind of marketing mix. They are following the similar kind of strategies, and therefore they are competing with each other. What decide the intensity of competitive rivalry? The competitive structure, how many players are in the industry, industry growth, switching cost, degree of differentiation, and height of exit barriers. So fast growing companies wherein the demand is generating, obviously will have less competitive rivalry. Now, what are different pointers that indicate that competitive rivalry is there? If we look at a particular industry and found that actions are frequently taken to improve business performance, obviously it means that competitive rivalry is high. If there is a price competition, it means competitive rivalry is high. Non-pricing competition refers that a settling competitive rivalry. Rapid introduction of next generation product, it means that we are challenging the competitors to give up the market, and wherein if we are rapidly or frequently taking or bringing new product to the market, it means that we are hyper competitive and try to grab or hold our market share for a long. A frequent use of heavy advertising, low interest rate, and offering low interest rate financing, special sales promotion. If such kind of offers are frequently floated, then this is also a pointer of competitive rivalry. Last, what are the different 5 questions that one should ask? How easy is it for new company to enter and set up business? How much negotiating power do the buyers have? How much powerful are the suppliers? What are the chances that existing customer may switch to substitute product if available? What is the degree of rivalry among the prevailing companies? These are the 5 questions that must be answered, and to answer these questions, the forces that we discuss should be evaluated, right? For example, how much it is easy for a new company to enter and set up a business. So we should look for the entry barriers. And what determine the entry barrier? Economy of scale, the availability of substitute, the setup cost, the cost advantage. So we will evaluate all these so that we can answer this question properly. How is it easy? So if the entry barriers are, if the height of entry barriers is very, very high, it means that it is not easy to enter this company. So this is how we can answer this. So with this we come to the end, and Since it is very little complex and very interesting topic, so lot of example we can discuss. So I recommend that as a student of strategic management, lot of case studies should be pursued. There are the studies regarding Intel and AMD. There are the case studies regarding how a company called COT came into the business of soft drink industry and compete with Coca-Cola. So there are a lot of other case studies which are very interesting. I always refer and I always insist my student to pursue. So thank you. We'll meet in the next session. We'll discuss the pistol analysis.